For the past year on Roblox, we've had many different Brainrot games release. The entire Brainrot thing became a trend, possibly one of the biggest trends on Roblox, with many thousands of games being made, and one of them till this day holds the record for having the highest concurrent players. But eventually, Brainrot games began to lose their popularity, and it happened pretty fast considering that it only has been almost a year since when Brainrot became big on Roblox. The record holder for highest player count, Steal a Brainrot, is basically the only Brainrot game that still actually manages to pull a pretty high player count, constantly being in the top 10 most popular games and even being able to get over 5 million players on updates. Besides Steal a Brainrot, we had multiple other Brainrot games that went into the millions. To be more specific, 5 Brainrot games managed to get there, including Steal a Brainrot. And you might have noticed how 3 of them don't really seem to be having 10,000 players despite being out for not that long. Escape Tsunami for Brainrots is the second newest game out of the 5 and had its peak player count about 3 months ago. And in those 3 months, it went from averaging 680,000 to 42,000 players, a pretty big drop in player count for that short amount of time. And if you were to check the front page right now, you won't really see all that many Brainrot games, and the ones that are there have lost a big chunk of their prime player base. But something happened recently. This guy called Platinum made a tweet where he says that there might be an update to algorithm on Roblox and what games it pushes, and that it has a negative effect on Brainrot games. And I feel like many wouldn't believe this since Brainrot games do bring a good chunk of money. If you check top-earning games for mobile users, the Brainrot games do get pretty high up. But then David Baszucki made a tweet which confirmed that there are some things happening with the algorithm, saying that they are testing improvements which should boost the games that retain players in long term. And that is something that will make it harder for Brainrot games to gain players. You even have Steal a Brainrot owner in the replies who doesn't really seem to be that happy about this change. Although I think Steal a Brainrot would be the least affected Brainrot game with this change, simply because it has proven to be working for almost a year now. But that can't be said about other Brainrot games. Remember the 5 games I showed that managed to peak at over 1 million players? All of those 3 games basically had the same thing happen to them, where they quickly get a lot of players and then quickly lose them. Going back to this list, there is at least 26 Brainrot games that peaked at over 100,000 players, and there's already plenty that are going below 1,000 player count. Some were released this year, by the way. Take example like Steal from Brainrots. This game lost over 90% of its players within the same month. Another example, Save Brainrots from Lava, which had a pretty similar experience, just that it took a bit more than 3 weeks. But I think the hardest flop of them all is this game called Don't Wake the Brainrots. At one point, it had tens of thousands of players, but now it can't even get to 100 players. But what makes people quit the Brainrot games so quickly? Take Escape Tsunami for Brainrots as example. I already showed earlier how it went from about 700,000 to 40,000 players in the last 3 months. The game itself is simple, just like any other Brainrot game. You get Brainrots and avoid getting hit by the waves. But the problems begin when the game updates to try and make it better. While the visuals did improve compared to Visual Abomination, the game was when it was only getting popular, the gameplay actually gotten worse. I joined it to record a clip for this video and happened to do so during some grass-cutting event. It took me less than a minute to find a Brainrot with quintillions of money per second, 3 minutes in, and I multiplied my income by like 1 million. Not even joking. The balancing and grinding in this game wasn't good, but it has become so much worse that it's honestly impressive even. The top-earning leaderboard has people earning hundreds of decillions of money per second, and most Speed 1 is actually fully pay to win, but this is the amount of money you'd need to get over 15,000 speed. The one good thing that happened in this game is that they finally removed the fake sales from their Robux products. Good job, do big studios, finally not using an allegedly illegal method of monetization in a kid's game. They do, however, still seem to struggle with math, but that's fine. And I feel like it becomes all the more obvious why kids aren't enjoying this game that much. Even during update admin abuses, it is starting to struggle to get to 500,000 players, where a month ago it would easily get over 1 million. And as you probably know, Escape Tsunami for Brainrots created a new wave of Brainrot games. Survive a Lava for Brainrots is one of the games that copied Escape Tsunami for Brainrots, and it's the best performing one of all. And if you were to join it, you'd see that it uses a lot of the same ideas and mechanics. Maybe you remember how I showed Creek Craft being happy about Brainrot games potentially dying out. Well, he has his own Brainrot game called Sail for Brainrots. And this one is also basically a copy, just with a different way to get Brainrots. And it actually lasted only a month. Basically, just like many other Brainrot games. A newer example is this Swing obby for Brainrots, which again uses the same ideas and mechanics. And you guessed it, the game did not last long before starting to lose a lot of players. There is another Brainrot game. This one is, from what I understand, less than a month old, and I actually decided to check it out. But to no one's surprise, the game was just like every other game I showed earlier, and despite being very new, it is already going down. The point I'm trying to make is that Brainrot games seem to just not really be creative. They are short-term games that last a few months and are very often cash grabs too. And since they copy each other, they all make the same decisions, which leads them to the same result. And also, just think about this. If every game is the same thing but with a small change, if a kid gets bored playing one of them, they won't stay in a different game for long. I've played a few and it always felt like in every game I do the exact same things. Just that the way I need to get Brainrots is slightly different. And what this algorithm update will do is make it harder for new Brainrot games to appear, while also obviously lowering how much the already existing ones get recommended. Roblox wants to see more games appear that last longer than a few months. Even take Pet Simulator. This game came back to the front page again despite months of silence. It does have a bot problem though, but even if you half its player count, it is still doing a lot better than 99% of Brainrot games. But long-term games are games like Rivals, or Blocks Fruits, or even Adopt Me, the ones that can actually keep up for more than a few months, unlike Brainrot games. And just now, a new Brainrot game hit the front page called Kick a Lucky Block. And this game actually tries to be more creative and has a bit more fun gameplay than the many other Brainrot games I've mentioned earlier. Will this game have the same fate as other Brainrot games? Most likely, and it depends on how the team behind it actually handles the game. But as we've seen many times, games like this usually don't really seem to last long, even if they try to be more creative with it. Plants vs. Brainrots, which is now called Plants and Brainrots, was one of the most popular Brainrot games on Roblox. Despite the more of a unique idea compared to other Brainrot games, the updates weren't fun, so that game ended up falling off. Steal a Brainrot is the only one that actually manages to keep people interested, but even there it is slowly losing its popularity. And now that Roblox seem to be more interested in long-term games, I think it's fair to say that the Brainrot era is slowly ending. Anyway, make sure to like and subscribe if you liked the video. I would really appreciate that. You can watch one of these videos while waiting for a new one. They are good too. Join my Discord server or play our game with the links in description, and I will see you soon.